So thank you very much for having me here today. I want to thank the esteemed guests, but also the organizing committee for being so enthusiastic in having me here. I realize I stand between everyone and this investment battle, so I've been asked to accelerate my presentation because I think it's all about the investment battle and the entrepreneurs today. I'm going to tell you a bit. I'm going to share some results with you, which we have in collaboration with Essine, our partner, done in collaboration with the Global Entrepreneurship Week. So we've gone out and we've spoken to entrepreneurs and gotten feedback from them, and we want to share those results with you, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Now, as a brief introduction, I come from a strategy organization. For some of you may know it. It's founded by Professor Michael Porter, the strategy professor in Harvard. A bit similar like McKinsey. We heard the name earlier today, related to tourism. Now, whenever I work in the group that does economic development around the world, and entrepreneurship is an important issue. So whenever we deal with the issue of entrepreneurship, the first thing we are always going to talk about is competitiveness, right? That's what Michael Porter coined the phrase. And instead of coming to you with the standard 5 forces model, which he would generally do, there are actually 3 simple things you need to think about if you want to think about developing a competitive region. It's firstly specialized human assets. It actually comes down to the people that you have in order to create a competitive environment. And that's not just scientists and engineers. It could also be the people, like in your tourism industry, who have successfully provided services for years and have, I guess, according to the statistics, become very successful and need to become more successful in the future. So specialized human assets is one thing. Innovation. We heard your commissioner talk about creating marketable products. Innovation is not about invention. It's about creating products and services that you can sell, that can be commercialized. But it's not only about products and services. It's about new ways of doing business, new business models, new ways of organizing. Innovation has a broad reach. And then lastly, it's about entrepreneurship. That's the 3rd pillar. And you can imagine that entrepreneurship feeds off both of those, because you can't innovate, you can't create commercialized products without businesses. We need young businesses, that's what entrepreneurship is about, that can capitalize on the innovation, that can utilize the specialized resources and sell these products in a market. That together creates a competitive economy or a competitive region. Now, if you look around the world these days, well, no one really cares about competitiveness right now, because competitiveness connotes prosperity or GDP per capita. Everyone cares these days about jobs, whether you're the new leader of China, or whether you're Obama or Mitt Romney, or whether you're here, or whether you're King Abdullah in Jordan and you're facing the Arab Spring. We all care about jobs, and entrepreneurship, once again, is one of those elements that can help with the job creation dilemma. For example, if we look at the last 10 years of job creation in the United States, the net job creation for enterprises less than a year old has been positive, whereas all businesses that have been older than a year old have had net negative job creation. That's the importance of the entrepreneurship issue. And unfortunately, these slides start from 2010, so we have a negative result. So if you take it from 2012 and take it back, we now have net positive employment in the US. Once again, the net new positive jobs are created by young businesses, not by the Fortune 500 businesses. So how do we create entrepreneurship? How do we create an environment of entrepreneurship? We all struggle with this, right? Every region in the world is asking the same question, and they're probably asking, how can we create the next Silicon Valley? And I'm sure you're thinking about the same thing here. We're saying we have all the talent in the world. I even found out you have the smartest guy alive, and I've seen his IQ come up over the last 10 years as well. You have people that believe in this country and believe there's a lot of capabilities. Bill Gates and Microsoft has an innovation center, one of 10 around the world. One of the reasons he said that is because he said, in every one of my development teams, I have a smart Greek guy. So there must be something that we have here in Greece. And you have a number of entrepreneurs that are of Greek origin or Greek, but they're not here. They're not in Greece. They're outside. So this seems to suggest that it's not about being Greek, it's about Greece. So it comes down to the environment. Now, what do we need to do to improve the environment? And now traditional ways of looking at this has always been, oh, let's measure venture capital, let's measure how many IPOs there are, because those are the statistics that are easy to find, because those are things that we can read in the paper or the statistics organization measures. But no one's actually gone out there and asked the entrepreneurs. Let's ask them what they're thinking. So what we're going to show today is what the Greek entrepreneurs have been thinking. A little bit of background, and hope I don't bore you with this, but I want to show that this is analytically rigorous. We worked together 10 years ago with the OECD, which is this organization in Paris, and I say this with all respect, a bunch of geeks that want to measure entrepreneurship in a very dedicated way. They've got this model, very complicated model. It's called the multi-factor productivity model, and one of its elements is entrepreneurship. So they measure all these factors that influence entrepreneurship. So we worked together with them, and we said, well, let's try to find correlations between policy levers or policy drivers and entrepreneurship outcomes. Entrepreneurship outcomes are number of new businesses, number of employment, and number of jobs created. So I know it's a lot of boxes. We went through a lot of regression analysis and statistical deviations and 3 sigma and 2 sigma, etc. And we start to figure out which policies are going to correlate best with entrepreneurship outcomes. And we actually did a pretty comprehensive survey around the OECD, and we figured out there are a number of policy levers that correlate better than others, right? And let me show you which ones they are. And I've summarized them to some extent here. Access to financing. Yes, we all know financing is important, but what's much more important is equity financing over debt financing. And it's not about the grants that you get from the European Union. It's actually about investors and investors investing equity into the business. That's a much larger correlation between entrepreneurship outcomes. The second is, within equity financing, it's less about VC money. It's about seed money. VCs will find you. They know where to find you. Those guys have sophisticated groups that look where the growing companies are. We need to figure out how to create new companies. Seed money becomes important. And then the third group is corporations. Currently, right now, more than at any time in our history, corporations are sitting on more cash than ever before, and that's probably true in Greece. Why? Because they don't know how to invest anywhere. So while all the governments are going bankrupt, the corporations have an enormous amount of cash. When they don't know where to invest, they know where to invest it in. That's access to finance. Then tax credits and incentives. One of the things we've noticed is it's not about corporate tax. No one cares about corporate tax. If you see, that doesn't have a impact. It's actually about income tax. It's about people wanting to earn money. People want to be able to earn money, and entrepreneurs, even in Greece, they want to earn money. And so if you need to give them that opportunity, and with tax incentives, that's one way that you can make it happen. The third thing, and I heard it before from the person that spoke before me, I forgot the name, it's about entrepreneurial skills and teaching entrepreneurial skills. We do not have, in most curricula, and certainly not in Europe, I'm from the Netherlands, by the way, we do not have a proper entrepreneurship curriculum. And I point back to what you've done here in Greece, which is quite phenomenal around languages. 10 years ago, when I worked here for a year for OTE as a consultant, it was hard to speak with a lot of people because English wasn't that good. But now, 10 years later, it's much easier for me. And why is that? Because 15 years ago, you implemented the English-speaking or the second language program in your primary and secondary schools. If you can also do that with entrepreneurship, you would have a much more sophisticated group of entrepreneurs coming out of schools 10 years from now. And then lastly, the number one, the biggest correlation effect between entrepreneurship policy drivers and entrepreneurship outcomes is mindset and culture. It's the attitudes towards risk, it's a lack of fear of failure. Those are much more important. It's not about regulations, yes, it's about financing. Number one driver is culture and mindset. I'll give you an example. I'm Dutch. When I went and 10 years ago, I put in my CV, I had a few companies, they all failed. I didn't dare put in my CV when I applied to a company. In the US, everyone puts all the companies they've started